Well, Connor, we came on here on the preview for Seton Hall and UConn and basically said that there was really no way that UConn was going to lose this game. We were very wrong. That is Connor Hope. I am Brian Rauf of Heat Check CBB. Seton Hall really controlled this game from start and finish. It was a blowout victory for the Pirates. Certainly one that's going to help them when we get to March. But Connor, let's look at this from an overall perspective. How did this happen?
Seton Hall's defense looked really good. They were able to make things difficult for UConn, and not just from UConn didn't shoot the ball well at all, but they also turned the ball over a ton in this game. They didn't dominate the boards, and I know that the last 16 minutes of the game they didn't have Donovan Clingan, but Seton Hall was controlling this game before UConn lost Clingan. It just so happens that Clingan was one of the two players for this UConn Huskies team that was actually shooting the ball, scoring efficiently for UConn. Him and Tristan Newton, who obviously are the two best players on this roster, were both playing well. But outside of that, this UConn team couldn't score. They couldn't keep the ball, hold on to the ball. They had 19 second chance opportunities, which is great, but when you're not converting, it doesn't really matter. They were 50-50 on their defensive rebounding battle. Like, they gave Seton Hall 14 second chance opportunities in that game. Seton Hall, Jaden Bediako was a monster inside for Seton Hall. I kind of feel vindicated because, both of us, I don't know if you said it, but I was like, Dawes has to be the dude in this game. And he really wasn't for most of the game until he hit that one shot late in the game that kind of sealed the deal. Like, you knew that UConn wasn't going to come back after that shot. I think he went into the last 10 minutes with 4 points, scored 7 points in the last 10 minutes. It was really Dre Davis and Kadari Richmond. It was their show for most of this game. Kadari Richmond's line is absurd.
I think he was the most impactful player in that game, both ways.
Yes. But 18 for 17, 23 points, 7 of 7 for the line, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, a block, 8 steals. Most teams don't get 8 steals as a team in games. Kadari Richmond was unbelievable on the defensive end against a UConn team that, when they're firing, is one of the best offenses in the country. So it was absurd.
I thought his physicality and Seton Hall's physicality overall had a big impact in knocking UConn kind of out of their offensive rhythm. Clingan played well. Newton played well. He was not on the All-American level he has been at this season, but I think Tristan Newton played well. And there wasn't a ton I think you could ask for. But looking at what he's done this season, it was an okay game. But nobody else for UConn gave you anything. Caravan really struggled. Cam Spencer really struggled. Didn't give you anything. Ball didn't give you a lot. Castle only played 20 minutes. There wasn't a lot from the quote unquote others for UConn, right? And when Newton is not being otherworldly and Clingan is dealing with an injury and in and out of the lineup, you need those guys to step up, and they didn't. Seton Hall's did. Now, one thing I'll ask you too, and this is maybe an overreaction, but was this victory more of an indication of potential issues with UConn, positives with Seton Hall, or just a byproduct of a Big East road game?
I think for UConn, it's the product of a Big East road game. I think this just shows that, because we talked about, this is not the same defensive team that Shaheen Holloway has put together in the past.
Well,
this is a Shaheen Holloway team, and that's what this proved. This Seton Hall team was overwhelming, one of the top 4 teams in the country with their defense. and then putting it on offensively. If I came into this morning and I said, or I came before the game, I came to you and said, Seton Hall is going to win this game. They're only going to make 3-point shots. You would call me crazy.
Only attempted 8. Like it just wasn't a thing. They didn't really use their bench at all, which is fine given the way the guys were playing. But yeah, I agree with you that this is a signal that Seton Hall can use as a springboard kind of game performance, because the defense is now at a different level than it had been at. And this is, I think, best case scenario, what Seton Hall fans were hoping for was a team that could look like this. And maybe not beat UConn on a consistent basis, but defend at a high level, do really well in your home games. Like, that's the recipe for getting to the NCAA tournament, which I think for Seton Hall, with Shaheen Holloway, his second season, that's the goal. I think that'd be a great season, and this win will also go a long way towards getting them there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they got whatever they wanted inside, especially when Klingon went out. And it was just, you were watching this game, and I understand, every team has off nights. And this was just, I mean, it was a massive off night for UConn. A lot of that had to do with Seton Hall. But yeah, that's my takeaway. Like, this game tells me more about Seton Hall and what they can be than I think it tells me about UConn, because of what we've seen UConn be for the past 11 games. Right.
Yeah.
So
UConn is proven. They have enough wins and have played enough high caliber games that we know what to expect from this team. There's also the note that they've only won 4 of their last 20 Big East openers, or something along those lines. They have 4 national championships and 4 wins in Big East openers. So like, this is just something that UConn does. But looking ahead now with Seton Hall, the Big East kind of got turned on its head this week with some of the results. But looking ahead, Seton Hall, does it change the way you think they stack up in the Big East? Like, where do you put them in the Big East pecking order now?
I mean, if this was like the one-off thing, like, you could say, oh, they look like they could be the 4th best team. But you could say the same thing about Villanova and Providence. So I'd probably put them in that same conversation. Like, I think Villanova on and off is the 4th best team in the Big East. So I'd probably put Seton Hall in that, like, competing for 5th conversation with Providence.
Okay.
Just because I don't necessarily, we saw, like, I don't necessarily trust St. John's and Xavier to also be in that conversation for the entirety of the season. But who knows? Like, Seton Hall could win this game and then fall back on their laurels and lose a bunch of games in a row. But yeah, I mean, it's UConn has played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams that are Gonzaga and Power 6 conference teams. Every single neutral site game they've won. The 2 road games they've lost. So maybe this is just not a road team. And the good thing for UConn is that neither the Big East tournament nor the NCAA tournament are played in road games.
Yep.
So, again, I think all that to say, I'm not worried about UConn, but the questions we had coming into this game about Seton Hall's defense, and whether some of these players, whether they could be a team that could make runs with Kadari Richmond as the top option, I think those have been answered positively in Seton Hall's favor.
Well, UConn will try and rebound Saturday when they host St. John's and Rick Pitino. Seton Hall's next game is against Xavier. So if you're Pirates and you want to prove that you are in that competition for 5th, you have to follow this up with a win against Xavier. They'll have the opportunity to do that on Saturday.